I should make a thank you to the students that were here playing in the foyer this evening, and these are students from Plano Senior High. Would you like to stand and be recognized at this time?
Thank you, President Humphrey. That was my mistake. There's no such thing as too much recognition.
No, and I know we have more to come, but
we do.
Okay, and I know they'll get recognition then. All righty. And now, for the instructional focus, the board will hear about developing musicianship through improvisation. Boy, that's not easy to get out. I invite Susan Modisette to introduce our campus representatives. Susan?
Thank you, President Humphrey. It was really serendipitous as we planned for our instructional focus this semester that this month we happen to be highlighting a very talented group of students and instructors for our instructional focus this evening. You'll hear immediately following the instructional focus just what an all-star team our fine arts department has, and I'm thrilled to welcome tonight Jeremy Kondrat, who's the newest member to that team. You know, I think we all recognize what enrichment music and art bring to students, and there's lots of research that reflects that. Our students reflect that. And without a doubt, we see over and over again in Plano that students can learn music and can understand and appreciate and perform music at very highly proficient levels. But one of the things that I think is fascinating as we study growth mindset, which means that we really don't believe that you're born necessarily with an innate talent, but that everyone can learn and grow in any area. When we think about music, oftentimes people that really capture our interest are those that can improvise, that you see a musician stand up and take a piece of music and just create something new and beautiful with it. And I guess I've always thought that, gosh, those people just have this innate talent. Like, I learned to play the piano, but I could never do that. And through conversations with Jeremy, he's really taken that idea about learning to improvise and intentionally teaching students how to do that. So we're in for a real treat tonight, and I'd welcome Jeremy to the podium.
Thank you very much, Susan. I couldn't have said that better myself. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to ask my friends to come up here that are going to join me in this presentation. My name is Jeremy Kondrat, as Susan said, and I'm the new PISD Instrumental Music Coordinator. And helping me this evening, I'm going to pass this microphone around, and Fred Sampson from Vines High School is going to talk with you as well, so we're going to make this a little bit of a team effort. So I'll let him tell you who our other guests here are.
Hello. Again, my name is Fred Sampson. I'm the head band director over at Vines High School, right across the street. And with me tonight is Kevin Kinney on trumpet, Sarah Velick on trumpet, Austin Chambers on horn, and Daniel Stevenson on bass trombone.
We're going to present to you a curriculum that's based on some ideas from one of the music education professors at the Eastman School of Music named Chris Azera. He's one of the music education professors there. And these are his ideas we took and we've been implementing in some of our schools and some pilot programs, introducing some different places around the district. These aren't entirely Mr. Sampson and my ideas, so we've thieved a little bit of things, but we're going to try and step you through about 6 weeks of instruction in about 8.5 or 9 minutes with these students here. So let's tell you a little bit about it first.
On the next slide, there we go, perfect. So this is an oral-based curriculum utilizing simple songs to teach students the interaction and relationships amongst the 12 cognate areas of music.
These ideas engage curiosity, imagination, risk-taking, and a lot of patience.
The students are given the autonomy to create, to improvise, and to compose.
And most importantly, we want students to be able to learn music as a language and to be able to speak language in a conversational way. And we're going to hopefully convince all of you all that you're able to do this as well. We have several schools that we've been doing this at. You can look at the monitors there. I'm not going to read all those to you. But the top 3 schools, we've been very active in implementing these ideas. And then the bottom 3 schools have been more introductory level. I would mention, though, what you're going to see with 4 students tonight is what you might see with 50 students or 60 students or 30 students in a band or an orchestra. And I also believe that all of these concepts are readily available to our choral department as well. So, filling the instructional gap. I grew up in Plano, was a graduate of Plano from Plano Senior High in 1991, and had an amazing training, the best anywhere I might say, and went to a music school and was very lucky to be in one of the best music schools in the country. There was something missing, however. I could play, I could read, but I couldn't improvise and I couldn't create spontaneously. Mr. Sampson grew up in Richardson. Sorry about that. But experienced something very similar.
We're sorry about that.
Thank you. So, traditionally in a 6th grade class, the students are taught how to read rhythms and read notes. They're taught how to play their instrument, and they're basically reading just one line at a time.
And so we realized through our own experience and through teaching that there were some things that were missing in our music education. And so we've developed this curriculum that is more based on oral learning, more like we would learn language when we were little kids or teaching our kids or grandchildren to speak. And rather than just learning one line of music, the melody, well, now all the students are learning their line and the bass line that goes with that and the harmony lines that go inside those lines. And so they're learning the musical scaffolding that exists. And at the same time, they're learning the different parts, so they start to appreciate each other's parts more and understand each other's parts. They're able to interact more with different elements or cognate areas like melody or rhythm or form or whatnot. We're going to show you how some of these things interact here in just a moment.
So as one of our goals is for the students to be able to interact with one another, and as a result of their interaction, they're going to be listening to one another. And then also, we want our students to be able to predict the music that's about to come up. So for instance, if I were to sing, "Happy birthday, dear Fred, happy birthday to you're perfect.
And that's just it. If you all can do that, then you can learn how to improvise, and that's what we're here to show you tonight. Another outcome that we want students to be able to improve in addition to being able to improvise, we want to be able to improve their reading and their writing through a deeper comprehension. So we're going to group and reuse different aspects of music. We might group rhythms together. We might group certain notes together. And then reuse those and string those ideas together and making more brain connections. So happy birthday might lead us into, I don't know, some other melody that becomes a whole new song, which is what our greatest composers of our lives have done. The last thing is that by doing this and learning music this way, it increases our analytical skills. And through comparison and contrast of harmonies or rhythms or songs and taking simple songs that lead to more complex songs, something that's familiar and going to something that's unfamiliar, we're able to develop a lot more analytical skills. So something that we're all very, very passionate about is school. I think we could say that. When we first learn to speak, or when we first learn that word, it'd be very easy to sound it out. Means absolutely nothing when you sound it out like that. But then somebody says, school, right? And immediately it has a little bit more meaning until you go inside across the street to Vines High School and you realize that there are children and there are teachers and there's so much learning going on. You realize the deeper meaning that's inside that building, which gives it completely different meaning. That's what we're hoping to do with music. So we're going to give you a little demonstration now. Like I said, this is about 6 weeks of activity put into about 8 minutes. And we do a lot of singing. Everything that we're going to ask these students to do tonight, and they're wonderful, by the way, everything we're going to ask them to do tonight, we would ask them to sing as well, because we've learned that singing is similar to riding a bike. And I'll get back to that a little bit later on. We're going to show you the scaffolding. We're going to show you the end product where these guys can improvise, but then we're going to take you back to step 1 and give everybody 7 steps to learn how to play your own saxophone solo next time you want to do that in your lives. Okay? So give us just a moment. We're going to play a tuning note real quick. Excellent. So I might mention too that Austin and Kevin and Sarah are sophomores, and Daniel is a freshman. So I'm very excited to have these youngsters here to show you this. We're going to play a song that you probably won't know what it is, and they're going to create and interact. They basically only have a couple parameters that exist inside this song, and everything else is spontaneously created. Here we go. And this is in a jazz style, so it fits along with what we had at the beginning. Then we'll go back to Mozart in a moment. Ready? 1, 2, and 1, 2, and yeah, how about a hand for these guys? Now, I would venture to say that most of you didn't improvise before you started doing this, right? No, exactly. Mr. Chambers says no. So I'm going to turn it over. We're going to take you back to the very beginning steps and show you how we got there.
All right, so we're going to start, and we always start with this process by learning the melody. I want you to see if you can figure out what this melody is, okay?
And this is the melody that goes with that song.
2, ready. Now, we're going to have the students learn and play for you the bass line. So this is what's going on underneath the melody of all songs. There's always a bass line. So let's play the bass line in Holden's. 2, ready. Just using the notes that the other 3 students were using, Kevin is going to improvise rhythms using that same bass line. So the same notes that they were using, but he's going to be allowed to use his own rhythm. All right, let's just do 4 bars. 2, ready,
Great. Thank you, Kevin. All these students can do that, by the way, and if you were to walk into the Vines Band Hall and watch the wind ensemble, there'd be 50 kids that could do that. There are 7 skills to improvisation, and those are the first 2. So the next step is to give them some note groupings that they can use. We can create some harmony that goes with those bass notes, okay? So let's play a tonic dominant chord progression. I'll sing and you guys repeat after me, okay? And I would have them sing this back to me first, but we're going to save some time. Here we go. Ready? I'll sing first. Do, so, do. Good, so that's our bass line. Now we're going to have some harmony lines that go across the x-axis, if you will, horizontally. Do, ti, do. This is my first time to sing in a mic, by the way. Mi, fa, mi, fa, mi. And then the last one is so, so, so. Now, if we let them choose which harmony they wanted to play, we could create a Beethoven symphony. But let's practice the end of this. Let's just do this together. So what would you like to play? Do, ti, do. Do, so, do. So, so, so. Okay, here we go. Ready? We're just going to play that chord progression together. And... Excellent. So they made the choice. They had the autonomy to make that choice on their own. Now, if I hold up a 1, let's do a 1 chord and a 5 chord. We're just going to make up the end of a Beethoven symphony real quick. Ready? 1 and And that's how Beethoven ended every one of his symphonies, everybody. So I'm going to show you one other, so they've learned notes that go this way horizontally in music. Now we're going to talk about notes that go up and down more on the y-axis. So repeat after me, let's do some tonal patterns. Do, mi, do. So anytime that they have do in the bass, they could play do or mi, do. Now let's do re, ti, re. Re, ti, re. Anytime so is in the bass, they could play re, ti, so, re. Let's do do, mi, so. They can play any of those 3 notes with the bass line that's on F. Now let's go so, fa, re, ti. So, fa, re, ti. And if you have so in the bass, you have that C in the bass, they can play any of those notes. Let's go to do, so, do. Good, I'm going to turn it over to Fred. Now we're going to let them use all of that language in their improvisation.
Absolutely. Good. So if we can go ahead and have Sarah and Daniel and Austin, if you guys can go ahead and stay on those same lines, and we'll go ahead and stay on whole notes. If you can, Kevin, go ahead and create a line on your own using those tonal patterns and play in half notes. Okay? 2, ready, and. Excellent. Now, I'm going to have them get a chance to use some different rhythms. So for the 3 of us again, let's go ahead and use just a simple rhythm like bum, 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 bum. And now Kevin will get a chance to use some of the same notes that he was using earlier, but now he can go ahead and use any rhythms of his choice.
I just mentioned, this is what Mozart figured out when he was 7 years old.
Well, 1, 2, ready.
Excellent. So now we've taken everybody through 6 different skills, and the last one is basically where we started, where they can use all these rhythms that they're able to improvise with, and as well they can use all the chord tones. But then we give them the freedom to make choices completely on their own. So you guys, this time, let's do this in Mozart style or Bach style one more time. But you're allowed to use your own rhythms. Make choices that you want harmonically, and Kevin's he's like at a skill 6 or 7. These guys are at about a skill 5, and so we're trying to take them up to a skill 7. But Kevin's the master improviser here, so we're going to let him show off. So here we go in the style of Mozart, one time through, and you get to make any choice you want. 1, 2, ready, and go. Hang on. Let's try that. See, that's beautiful because this just shows that they're making this up and creating it on the spot. And they weren't afraid, which is beautiful. Ready? Education without fear. 1, 2, ready, go. Excellent. Now we're going to do it one more time in a jazz style for you, just so we can have a little bit more fun. Ready? 1, 2, and a 1, 2. This is where we started. One more time. Here we go. Keep going now. How about a round of applause for our Vines High School students here? Wonderful. So we're dispelling the myth that people can't improvise, and we're hoping that our string players are able to do this across the district. Some of our instructional goals, Jonathan, if you could put the PowerPoint back up there real quick, just a little wrap up for everybody. There we go. Oh, those were our 7 skills that we just took you through. And our goals for experiential music instruction.
So we want to make sure that we create a safe environment, much like the one that we have here. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to skin your knees if you have to. We want the kids to take risks, to be courageous and have no fear. And we want them to be able to be curious at home, to kind of figure out, well, what could I play over these chords? And we want them to, we want to empower them to learn on their own and to be able to be independent thinkers on their own.
We want every child in PISD to be able to speak music. We want every child to be able to create their own music, whether they use that and become composers or improvisers or not. They at least have that capacity that they've been given. We've found it through this experiment that we've been doing that the more that the students create, the more they're invested. And I think these 4 gentlemen over here would agree with that as well that we're playing out in the lobby. We've also learned that by taking the music on the inside, there's a much greater discovery, which then leads to much more inspiration. Which gives us a deeper meaning, like the building across the street. When you go inside, you realize how many wonderful things are going on in that school. When you go inside the music, you realize how much wonderful things are going on inside the music, and you're not just regurgitating things off of a page of music. And finally, I mentioned earlier, many of us ride bikes or go skiing, and we might not do it for 10 or 15 years, and we get on a bike or we ski, and we remember how to do that. Well, this pathway in the brain for music allows the same thing. Once you learn a song, it doesn't go away. If you read music or if you read text off of a page, it goes away. But when you truly internalize it, it never leaves us. So I think we've given you all a little bit of an idea how we believe that talent is a myth and that everybody has the capability of this. It's about making brain connections. We're hoping to connect our elementary music curriculum, which is very song-based and absolutely amazing, and make our secondary music curriculum even more song-based and have more cohesion within the curriculum. And what we're really hoping is that we can discover that we have many more Mozarts and Bachs in the world, and they are all coming from PISD, which is one of the best places, and I believe, and Mr. Sampson believes, Mrs. Cuddiss believes, and my other friends here believe that PISD is the place that has the leading edge in music education. And so we're very, very proud of our programs. I want to leave everybody with a quote really quick. I was lucky enough to go to the University of Miami a couple weeks ago where a curriculum like this is happening at the Frost School of Music. And the Dean of the School of Music, Shelley Berg, had a wonderful quote that I thought I would leave us with. And it's, adaptation is a daily part of existence. And I thought, what a better way to learn adaptation, one of the greatest life skills that we all have to remind ourselves every day through the means of music right here.
And then also one of my favorite quotes from Clark Terry, I got this from a book by Mike Steinell, is imitation, assimilation, and then innovation. And I think that it's really imperative for our students to be able to learn exactly the way we learn to speak. No one put a book in our crib, but they had us imitate what they said. I think that this is important, and I really think this is the future of music education.
And so the idea of Plano really leading with innovation that's what we're hoping to do in the fine arts programs. I'd like to just thank Mrs. Thibodeau and Mrs. Modisette for hollering at me and asking me if I might be interested in doing this. And thank you to the board and all of you that are here this evening for allowing us this opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to celebrate fine arts and everything great that we do in Plano ISD. And finally, would everybody just help me thank Mr. Sampson from Vines High School and these wonderful students. Thank you all so very much.
So, yeah, just real quick on this, the musicians, and you guys, this too, how many of y'all are already starting to write your own music or record your own music? What about you? Are any of y'all already starting to write your own music and record your own music? That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I like to figure out, listen to a song like 80s rock is my favorite, and then keyboard and all figure it out.
That's my favorite rock too.
Mine too. Sounds like it's so long ago. Thank you so much for being here and showing us all the great, wonderful work that you're doing in the classroom. And we got to hear some of what you guys were doing in the foyer from upstairs, but it's amazing. And thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. And I felt like I have no musical abilities, and now I'm going to take up the trumpet.
Just one quick thought. I've been having a digital conversation recently with a brilliant man, and really have talked a lot about our efforts to help kids think creatively and solve problems, be courageous, fail and try again, and so that's everywhere, and that's really what you bring in this effort, and I just can't thank you enough. You guys are learning more than you know, right? You're awesome.
All right, let's give them one last hand of applause.